When I was a little girl, I had this dream that when I grew up, I was going to become an artist, and that I would marry an artist, a dashing, playful, wise, and deep-thinking kind of a man. He would be in every way my partner and in every way my equal. We would live happily together, peacefully forever, in an artist colony, far, far away from the harsh, cruel, mean, cold, indifferent, intolerant world. Far away from anything, you know, normal. There'd be a big blue lake at the bottom of the hill that we would swim in every day, and a crystal clear stream right outside of our bedroom. And the sound of the running water would lull us to sleep at night. There'd be one room for dancing and putting on plays, and another room for singing and music, and another room for writing and sculpting and painting and thinking. And that would be my life, a work in progress. Everything that everybody would do, our artist friends would come over to work on his or her own project, to share a nice meal, to watch a sunset, and everything that everybody would do in the artist colony would be expressed, experienced, understood. Even the way that the carrots would be arranged on the dinner plates. Even that would be careful. Each bite genuinely and profoundly meaningful. Each bite, art. Everybody would have the visceral understanding, the awareness that art was constant and that beauty resided in everything. Even in the way we'd sit around, even in the silence, even in the carrots. But that was just a dream I had when I was a little kid. Here's what happened. Instead, be okay. I just broke up with my boyfriend 12 and a half years ago, and I'm still really upset about it. So, I mean, not just about him, but about every guy I've ever dated before and since. So my therapist, he said, well, I should get a group of like-minded people together to help me, you know, clear some things up and help me flesh some things out and give me some perspective. So I would like to thank you all for showing up tonight. We were together for 10.7 years. Actually, the whole thing was over about 2 weeks into it. But it's so hard to end a relationship, you know, you just let it go on and on. You're waiting for something to happen. You're thinking, well, maybe he'll die. We would have broken up a lot sooner, but new restaurants kept opening. I've had so many bad relationships, I've run out of ringtones. And here's a tip, there's two kinds of relationships that don't work no matter what. Just forget it, they're doomed to fail. Long distance and close by. So I've been agonizing lately about this complicated, sad turn of events in regard to romance and nothing less than my entire adult life. What the hell happened? Thomas Mann, this writer guy, he said that it's like that in this book that he wrote. He said, life and mortality do not allow us to be true to the guileless unrealism of our youth. What does that mean? There's no artist colony anywhere, not in Fiji or someplace? I mean, I thought it was in Santa Monica, but there's never any place to park. I'm from the small, nearly desolate, dry desert, tiny mining town of Superior, Arizona, between Phoenix and Tucson, in the middle of landlocked Nowheresville, where the cosmos just randomly decided that I would be born. Superior? Superior to what? Lint? The loneliness, the isolation I perpetually felt as a child made the relentless desert heat seem cold and hopeless as an Arctic winter. It was either that or all the air conditioning. 5,000 people, mostly Hispanic people. Is that racist? Mostly Hispanic, although when I was growing up there, they were Mexican. And then there's me, greenish, pinkish, olivey something. I'm Syrian and Lebanese. Yeah, yes, I'm half and half. My mother is Syrian and my dad is Lebanese. So I hate myself. Because, they don't get along, the whole region. Like, you know how we should have never gone into Iraq? My dad never should have invaded my mother. People never really know what I am. They're all like enchanted, intrigued. It's like, what are you? Are you like Greek? Are you Italian? No, are you like from Brazil? And I say, no, I'm Middle Eastern. They go, oh, Arab. Because Arab is the new Mexican. Hispanic people, they don't want to audition for parts of they don't want to play parts of the housekeeper or the janitor in movies and stuff, or TV, because it depicts them in a bad light, right? It's a negative stereotype. Well, I would gladly take those roles because I am tired of auditioning for the sympathetic wife of a terrorist. But he's a good provider. Don't take, why you take? Yalla kala hala. So to make my isolation even more worse, my childhood, my patriarchal dad took over he should be not pink, but he is. He took over his patriarchal dad's family business. And so once the copper miners were making really good money, Coors beer flowing from the packed local cantinas every payday, Karam's department store, fashions for the entire family, it was thriving. So my dad made enough money to build a house in the new part of town, taking us even further into the outskirts. And then, to keep the light out of our house, because my mom had special iron curtains installed, and the tiniest bit of sunlight was forbidden. Mom, can't we open the curtains just once? It's like we're living in lockdown. No, the air conditioning bill. Okay, calm down, Vampira. When I first saw Dracula movie, I thought, oh, he must be from Arizona. Stop dwelling, my mom would dwell. Go outside if it's so damned important for you to be in the light. And so I did. The heat, the Arizona landscape, it became my best friend. No chaos, no family noise, no air conditioning anywhere for miles. I regularly took day-long mini shaman journeys with Schlitzie, my dachshund, and Yogi, my terrier mutt, into the magical cactus forest. Needles everywhere. It's funny how easy it was back then for me to avoid all those pricks. But just me, my 2 dogs, a canteen, and a peanut butter sandwich. Oh, by the way, peanut butter in 137,000 degrees is more like a peanut butter melt. The only relief that we got during the summer is when my mom piled me and my big sister Charlene and my big brother Johnny and all of us into the back, and all of our friends into the back of the pickup truck, and we made the hour-and-a-half trip up to Roosevelt Lake. My dad never came with us because, well, my mom said, you know, your father's too busy. And he was. Aside from his avocation as a local politician, he was in charge of the VFW, the Elks Club, the Lions Club, plus he was president of the Cinco de Mayo Parade Committee, and and then he emceed all the 4th of July festivities. I have to go, I'm emceeing. And then he even was in charge of all the Little League teams in our district, which, he even announced all the games, which kind of quickly put an end to my brother's baseball career when he coached him from the loudspeaker because he didn't have time to teach him one-on-one. Oh, Johnny, you're gonna get hit in the head with the ball. Why'd you swing at that one? Sit down. So then my brother, subsequently, he didn't want to teach his own son how to play ball, so because he was in fear that it would pass it along, bring up old childhood memories, much too painful for Johnny to bear. So you see the game gets played out one way or the other. So my dad never came with us to any of the family outings because, well, he was invariably caught up in spreading goodwill among the community and doing everything he possibly could do to make sure that other people's kids were having fun. Dad, could you help me tie my... No, I'm busy. I gotta get to the Elks. I'm grilling hot dogs at the Children Without Fathers benefit picnic today. So when the pickup truck came up over the hill, and I looked down and I saw that gorgeous blue water, I'd lose my breath. I mean water. I'd never seen water. Water! Life-affirming, soul-soothing, wet. And then the sense of exhilaration I felt when I jumped into that crystal lake and then I looked up at the sky, big and blue. Heaven is here. Oh, that's what Joseph Campbell said. Nirvana, a psychological state of mind in the middle of the turmoil. Why can't every day, every moment be just like this one? My plan to leave Superior for an infinitely more superior life wasn't complicated, and it couldn't fail. All I needed to do was grow up and then relocate. Once my sister Charlene turned 11, she was never home long enough to notice. I was already the family artist. She was never home long enough to notice that I redesigned the bedroom that we shared, drawing on butcher paper that my mom brought me from Leo's grocery store, and painting flowers onto furniture. And then there were the dance recitals, and then I'd write my poems onto photographs that I cut out of magazines. And then there were the Thursday night puppet shows. I don't know, Jan, ask your father. I don't know, Jan, ask your mother. I told her to ask you. Well, I told her to ask you. Well, I don't know what to tell her. I don't know what to tell her either. Let's just yell at her until she cries again. Oh, good idea. You're brilliant. Come here, honey. Oh, honey, you're a 24-hour-a-day man. Yes, I'm gonna bend you over the Hoover. One afternoon, when my dad came to pick me up from my babysitter's house, and he accidentally heard me playing the piano, and he cried. What? Dad's steely brown eyes filled with tears of joy instead of exasperation? Was somebody else's kid here? But the genuine thrill, the fatherly pride he exuded, it was all for me, his own daughter. The next day, a brand new upright piano was delivered to our house. For once, my dad wanted to help me, his own offspring. How weird. So I sat in the dark living room and I played and I practiced for hours and days and weeks and years, hoping that somebody would hear me. But nobody was ever home long enough to notice, and even if they weren't home, they would shut all the doors, to shut out all that racket! So one Thursday night, my dad's bowling league was canceled, so that means he was gonna be home in time for dinner. So once he settled into his lazy boy recliner, I started to play. I'd waited all day long for this. I just learned a Chopin etude. As soon as he sat, I started Da-dee, da-da-dee, da-da-da-dee, da-da-da-dee, da-da-da-da-da-dee, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-dee, da-da-da-da-dee, da-da-da-da. Finally, he heard me, and from the top of his lungs, he shouted, "Do you wait till I get home to play that goddamn thing?" Yeah, kinda. My mom, she saw like a little video of the show, not the whole thing, and and she's like, "Jam," he was like, "Does the paint wash off?" "No, it doesn't wash off. I'm sorry." She said, "Well, can't you just like explain your little points to the audience? You have to get it all over yourself." "Mom, the paint's a part of the show, you know, it's a metaphor." "A what?" "Well, we come into this world innocent, pure, blank, and you know, and then we get painted on all, you know, by society and life and friends and supposed friends and lovers and family life. So just like our life experiences don't come off of our souls, they're permanent stains. This paint doesn't wash off of these clothes." She goes, "Oh, well, I hope you at least got them on sale." Then I get this guy, and he's like, "Hey, come to my show." He goes, "Oh, reclining nude. If I come to the show, do I get to see you naked?" I'm like, "It's a painterly title, and I'm emotionally nude, plus the paint." And he goes, "Oh, that sucks." Does that mean there's no happy ending? So the guy, the main one, the breakup one, his name was Jerk. Oh, I mean half-love. I called him half-love because that's all I got. Half-love. What? I love ya. I love you, okay, Jan? Let's eat. Yeah? I love ya? Yeah, that's how I talk. Well, can't you just say the whole word? I mean, we've been together, what, 8, 9, 10 years? I deserve the extra vowel. Oh, Jesus Christ. Just say it just once. I love you, Jan. I love you. Oh. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. He played the piano, and I wrote. He played the piano for weddings, bar mitzvahs, and funerals. I wrote jokes, and I auditioned for sitcoms. This could be my artist colony. Half-love, he was a thinker, or so I thought. When I first met him, I was doing a comedy gig at the outskirts of Vegas, and he was in the house band. How exciting! And we locked eyes, you know, all week. And then one night he was in the band dressing room, and he was sitting on the couch, just like looking down at the floor. And so I peeked my head and I go, "You look awfully pensive tonight." I was hoping he knew what pensive meant. And he goes, "Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I was just spacing out." Shoot! Red flag! Why didn't I see it? The truth! Oh, but he knew what pensive meant! We were so in love. We just hit it off right away. "In the arms of my love, I'm flying over mountain and meadow and glen." Wait a second, who's Glenn? Is that guy from your office? I told you we're just friends. Okay, come here. Ooh. You know that feeling that you get? Oh, that sick feeling, you know, where you're gonna throw up when you see him, but it's like you can't. It's that sick butterfly thing. That isn't love. No, dear girl. That's not love. That's familiarity. Familiar. Family. Hi. You remind me of everybody who's ever been mean to me, admonished and dismissed and belittled me. Oh, I must get you to love me, to become somebody you never can. Oh, please, I'll spend my whole life trying to get you to change. Oh, why can't I walk away? My dad's an angry guy. He's the kind of angry guy who will emit steam from his ears when he goes to take a sip of water and then discovers that his glass is empty. There's been so many empty glasses during my childhood. He never had to say anything, of course. The mere slamming of his Mylar cup onto the dinner table was plenty of signal it was time for my mother to rush to the refrigerator in blubbering subservience to refill the goblet of His Majesty. Here, 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 she'd say, carrying the water pitcher with the urgency that would suggest not so much that her husband was thirsty, but that he was on fire. One night when we were loading the dishwasher, my mom confided to me, as if she was passing down a life lesson, that at age 15, I was finally old enough to understand. Your father likes his water cold. And lately I realized, my mother has spent her entire married life trying to keep my dad happy. Or more significantly, she has spent her entire married life trying to keep my dad from getting upset. What a thing to do, huh? You're in heaven. Hey, what'd you do with your life? Well, I kept my husband's temper down. Good thing. I know you're probably envious of my situation. So there's a few rules. If you would like to be a part of my family, these are the rules. There's just a few rules. You must speak only when spoken to. But if you don't speak when you're not spoken to, you might be accused of not caring. So if and when you do speak, you must speak in a way that doesn't go against the rules. And just when you think you know the rules, there's a new rule. And then there's another rule. That's the rule. The rules can change. And just when you think you have it all figured out, you don't. Nonetheless, your assignment, should you decide to take it, but you have no choice because you're the third child, the youngest, is to continue to try to unravel this Sisyphean madness, but you never can until you're finally forced to do a one-woman show. With paint and tears and jokes and a message. And the message is this. I don't know yet. My parents have been together for, 50, 60 years. I've been in Hollywood so long, I even lie about my mother's age. But you can tell how long two people have been in their relationship by how much they can move their mouth when they talk, when they're around each other. At first you're just like, oh, I'm so happy and free and whatever. No, you go ahead. Yeah. And then month by month, year by year, all your muscles start contracting, and they work their way up through your neck into your jaw. Pretty soon you start talking like this. I said I want a sandwich. My parents have been together for so long, there's so much built-up hostility and resentment, they can't even chew. They just sit in their lazy boy recliners night after year after decade in that mid-tilt position. And my dad's in his chair watching Law and Order reruns. And my mom is in her chair watching my dad. I just hate going over there because he just hits me all night long. Look at him, Jen. Look at him, honey. Oh, hurry up. Oh, get in here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hurry up. Look at your father. What, Mommy's just sitting there? Exactly. Now, if he would just stop breathing. I go, Mom, he's a jerk. He's always been a big old jerk. Don't say anything bad about your father. He's a good provider. He's a patriarch. So here we go. Exhibit A. Half-Love and I, we would sit in our living room night after night after year, going into the first decade of my life. In this overstuffed couch from Pottery Barn, in modern discomfort. And then something would happen where the local newscaster team, you know, would do a story like, hey, Marky Mark just rented out Dodger Stadium for his new date. And then they go, the guy and the girl goes, hey, I wonder if he hit a home run. Yeah, or if he made it to first base. Oh yeah, or maybe he had a line drive down the middle, huh? Or maybe he popped one up. And then back and forth, I was like, we just look at each other. You know how you look with that shared, like, oh, it's like, oh, don't look at me. And then he did. And then that feeling of those 2 beautiful weeks when you first met. Like, oh, that false sense of hope. Oh, yeah, I know. And it's that tiny split second of a glance that keeps you together for another year. And whenever Half-Love and I were getting along, we would go out for frozen yogurt. Yay! Because that's the prize when you're in relationship limbo, a giant clot of frozen frickin' bacteria in a styrofoam cup. Because people in love, they don't go out for yogurt. People in love go out for ice cream. Deteriorating relationships go ice cream, frozen yogurt, and then Netflix. And the yogurt place, it was off of La Cienega. La Cienega, metal and steel and glass and pay stations and people and chaos and hostility and sickening and overconsumption. It is the deterioration of our culture, of humanity, of society. Mall on top of mall on top of mall inside of a mall. And then I was driving and I was at a red light, and then I got stuck at a red light, and this guy in a Hummer, he's like honks behind me because I didn't go the second that the light changed to green. And on top of honking, he hits his hands on the steering wheel. I look back, he's like, and then he honks again. That is so rude. It's like, you don't know me. You can't be that hostile towards me. You don't love me. So we finally make it into Moo Moo Delights. Nothing delightful about it. Me and Half-Love in line with a million other couples in our shared purgatory. Yeah, I know I gotta get out of this one too. And then we finally get up to the counter, and well, I don't know what I want. You know, let's see, they have so many choices. And well, so I ask the Yorista guy, Bradley. I was like, let's see. Is the peach good? He goes, well, I personally don't like peach. Well, is it better than the pumpkin? And then Half-Love says, what are you asking him for, Jan? He said he doesn't like peach. Well, maybe he doesn't like pumpkin either. Well, just get what you want. But I don't know what I want. I mean, I know that earlier I just dismissed the significance of yogurt, but right now it matters. Right down to the vegan jujubes and the Cap'n Crunch. The flavor that I get tonight depends on whether or not I have to go to therapy. I'm not getting the love that I need. I'm looking to the yogurt to fill the void. This is a $150 decision. Well, how much do you pay? And then some woman walks by with this big fat blueberry swirly thing, and I say, wait, what kind did she get? She looks happy. I just want a flavor that'll make me content, Bradley. And then Bradley the Yorista looks at Half-Love. He's like, how do you put up there? And Half-Love's like, yeah, tell me about it. And then there's this giant boy bond. And normally Half-Love, he's the kind of guy that he didn't like gay guys, right? But all of a sudden, this flaming homosexual is Half-Love's best friend because it serves his case, which is to make me feel shitty, because that's how Half-Love survived, making me feel shitty. And then you go, well, Jan, you're a smart woman. Why would you stay in a relationship with somebody who on a consistent basis made you feel shitty? Because sadly, that's how I survived. And Half-Love, he knows what he wants right away because he's entitled and he doesn't care who he pushes aside or hurts or disregards. He just gets the macho, misogynist, super control freak fudge with narcissistic nuts in a self-centered waffle cup. Because I can. I don't know what I want. There's a lot of pressure. There's a big old long line behind me, and Bradley and Half-Love are like almost married. So I just get the pumpkin. I get the stupid, child-size, low-fat, low-sugar, low self-esteem pumpkin. I don't even like pumpkin. So it was that night, the night of my pumpkin compliance, that Half-Love and I finally broke up. What happened was, I was driving, and I made a left on Orlando. Half-Love was, did you just, Jesus Christ, Jan, did you just make a left on Orlando? Yeah. Why would you do that? Well, because I could, free will. But there's so many stop signs. Everybody knows to take Crescent Heights. They do? Do you know that? Is that something everybody knows? Do you? Huh? Well, I asked my therapist, is it a crime to make a left on Orlando? Well, was it between 4 and 7? Because you know that is a violation. I have a brother. He's the middle guy, and he is the golden boy. He can do no wrong. Jen, why did you stand-up comedy, and why aren't you a car shyster salesman like your brother? Do something sensible with your life. And I have a sister-in-law, too. I have a sister-in-law. She wasn't my sister-in-law last year. She was a 22-year-old booty call that my narcissistic older brother haphazardly fertilized in the back of his sex utility vehicle. So she has the baby, and he marries her because of the baby. And then my mom says to me, Jan, when are you going to settle down? I'm working on it, Mom. I'm just looking for a guy with a long bed. And then I have a sister, and she's like a scratchy, grouchy first child, you know? She's like, Rrr! I go, why is Charlene so angry all the time? And my mom goes, because, honey, your father and I argued a lot when I carried her, so it just set, it set her up badly. I go, but you guys argued when you carried all of us. You're still arguing. We're all messed up. Don't you get it? So she's always yelling at her kid, right? And when I go home, and there's always there's the little 3-year-old running in the yard, all happy and free. And then from the, she sees him out of the corner of her eye, and he picks something up off the ground and holds it up, and she goes, Asher, don't pick up the oranges. And he's like, and I say, Charlene, you shouldn't yell at him, look, you're scaring him. And she goes, well, I go, it's just oranges. And she goes, well, they might have bugs on them, Jan. I go, well, it's just bugs, it's not Ebola. And I go, why don't you just try talking to him, just just talk one-on-one and just explain to them, you know? I just kind of get scared when you pick up the oranges in case they're bugs or something, just nice chat. She goes, "All right, Jan, you think you can come here from Los Angeles with your fresh ideas?" And then my brother goes, "Yeah, Jan, what do you know about kids?" He's all self-righteous. "What do you know about kids? You don't have any kids." And then my mom goes, "Yeah, you have no right to tell, you know, your sister how to raise kids because you don't have kids." And then my dad goes, "Yeah, you don't have kids?" Every time I do stand-up comedy on national TV, my mom always goes, "Why did they fix your hair that way?" I go, "What way?" She goes, "The way they had it. They never did it right." And I go, "Well, I thought it was pretty good." And then my dad goes, "You did the same jokes on the Dick Letterman show, that you did the same materials on the Dick Letterman show that you did when you were in Phoenix at the comedy club with Dana Garney." I go, "Dad, it's material. We've had this conversation before. It's not materials. And I need to do my new materials in the comedy clubs because I can't go on national television with a bunch of fresh ideas." Then my mom says, "Did you come home just so you could argue?" What? What? I said, "I came home because you guys asked me to. You said, 'It's Christmas. We want the family to be together for Christmas, honey. We love you. We love our family to be together.'" And then, so I was pulled in by the seduction, right? And then when I got home, I got greeted, this cold greeting. I got an air kiss from my father. Just like that, not even like. And then I got like my brother's in the living room. I could just see him goes, "Huh, huh." And then I got one of those like from my sister, "Hi, Jan." And then I get a half hug from my mom because criticism comes out at the same time her arms do. Right? "How could you drive with your windows so dirty?" "Honey," I go, "they're not that dirty. I could see." She can never just fully hug me, right? It's always just like like I'm gonna bruise her breasts. I just want to grab her just once, you know? I just want to say, "Mom, just embrace me just once. Just take your loving motherly arms just once. Yeah, keep going. Just like that. Yeah, and pull me in tight and hold me close and give me one of those warm, unconditional, motherly hugs. Just once. So I can start my life." So I decided that it was up to me, that if I wanted to have a life, have my own life, I gotta get my own life together, right? I gotta get my shit together. And that's what I'm doing. I'm getting my shit together. Well, I was gonna get my shit together last year, but I blew it off. But definitely by, say, Flag Day. And like Oprah and Tupac Chopra, and they always say, like, if you want something, you have to visualize it, right? Like, if you want a big old car or a nice house or a lot of money, whatever it is that you want, you just have to visualize it first. Well, that's a bunch of crap, that visualize stuff, don't you think? I mean, I don't visualize what I don't want, and I have that. It all sort of started when I was about 10, 11, 12, and I was developing into like being a whatever, and a womanhood, and my dad all of a sudden, like we used to be so close, like when I was 1, he was always by my side, and then all of a sudden, like he just got weird, you know, he started pushing me away, and I didn't understand. He's like, "Get away, hand me the TV guide, don't even stand next to me." So I asked my mom, I'm like, "Mom, how come I can't sit on Dad's lap anymore?" And she explained to me in a way that she never talked to me before. She says, well, honey, your dad has sexual feelings that he doesn't understand, so he rejects you, forcing you to feel abandoned and to seek the love and approval of unavailable men for the rest of your life. Because when I was 15, okay, the only thing to do in my town was to go to a dance. There's the dance. Here's where it was held at the Los Reyes Club. That's the Los Reyes Club, okay, you guys? Just remember that. It was held at the Los Reyes Club in the middle of the desert, and every weekend there would be a wedding dance. What happened was somebody would get pregnant, and then there'd be a wedding. I love tradition. And so at this point, all my girlfriends they were 15 and they were having their quinceañeras, right? And Jewish girls, 13-year-old Jewish girls were having their bat mitzvahs. Well, we don't have any kind of celebration into womanhood in my culture, not that I know of. I mean, the closest thing is forced marriage and genital mutilation. But that's a different kind of party. So I told my mom and dad, I told them that I was gonna spend the night at a friend's house, but instead I lied and I went to the dance. Outside of the Los Reyes Club, there were always these vato guys, right? They were standing outside smoking weed and say, orale, orale, all night long. And my girlfriends and I in our low-cut tops and our short skirts that we made in home economics class and our giant chanclas shoes, we had to walk by them to get in. Well, it was like walking the red carpet of sexual harassment. Órale, baby, ay, mira que órale, ay, mamazota, órale, mira los chichis, órale, ay, cómo tengo la, órale, órale, ay, órale, Like, I'm 15, I don't want to órale. Although now that my dad's ignoring me, I might have to. I figured out what they were trying to say, órale, it means orally, I think they were, I want to do you orally. Orally, come here, orally. Inside the dance, the party was in full swing. And then the music slows down and I'm dancing with my novio. And then all of a sudden, this guy, Quito, that cleaned our house, our store, he comes running up. Hey, it's a JANN man. Your daddy's outside waiting for you. He's all pissed off. I go, hey, no, well, tell him I'm not here as a Quito man. Because I had to talk like that to fit in. So, he goes, it's too late. I already told him, plus he paid me. Ay, Diosquito, ¿por qué no te calles? So I just, so I just say to my, okay, maybe this is an opportunity for me to learn how to communicate with my father, right? I'm just gonna go outside and talk to him. The way that I handle this situation will set me up for the rest of my life. And so I went outside to face la música. And right out front, in front of the Los Reyes, and I had just been with all my friends, and I thought this could be my artist colony because we were all dancing and thriving, and I was like, maybe my artist colony's right here in Superior. I'm with all my friends right here in the desert. Yes. And then I go outside, and there he is. Oh, And he was, like Quito said, all pissed off. So I slithered into the back seat. Hi, Dad. You weren't supposed to go to the dance. I know, Dad. I know, but well, you weren't supposed to go to the dance, Jan. I know, Isaac. And why would you make a left on Orlando? Because I can, free will. And then he puts on the gas and the brake and the gas brake, and every 2 seconds, gas brake. The car's jumping up and down. He said, hey, everybody, check it out. My dad has hydraulics. He's badass. Órale pues. And all the vatos are going, órale pues, Mr. Karam's, ay. So he pulls the car into the carport, gets out of the car before I could say anything, heads into the kitchen, and he starts looking in the cupboard for some chocolates. Dad, you weren't supposed to go to the dance. I know, Dad, you defied me, Jan. I know, but you lied to me! And he hit me. And I was sliding down against the kitchen cupboard onto the cold tile floor from the air conditioning, my arms covering my head. And then I remembered something as my dad continued to yell and hit, and then I remembered something. Mom! Mom! Quick! Get in here! I think Dad's thirsty! So my mom comes running into the kitchen. She sees my dad hitting me, and she sees me, her daughter, curled onto the floor like a little ball. And her maternal instincts kicking into high gear at the top of her lungs, she shouted, honey! Not in the face! I know. That's what I thought. Not in the face? Not in the face? How about not at all? That's a fresh idea, Jan. There was this weird, eerie stillness, silence, like something strange just happened. And then my mom immediately snapped into action, and she began organizing Tupperware in the refrigerator. My dad grabbed a scooter pie from the cupboard, and he headed into the living room, the family room. And then after running out of leftovers to shuffle around and change, my mom soon followed. And they sat in their lazy boy recliners together as if nothing out of the ordinary had just happened. This time, my mom didn't watch my dad. The altercation had somehow brought them closer. And they watched the denouement of that week's spine-tingling episode of Barnaby Jones. Shit. I had that sick, untethered feeling, and I didn't know what to do. My sister Charlene moved out of the house her senior year in high school after she got pregnant from one of the vatos, Jose Rodriguez Contreras Villalobos, a.k.a. Punky. Little Cat's older brother. And Johnny was never around. He was always up in his bedroom listening to Satan-based music on his headphones. He would have, if it was now, we had computers, he would have been downloading porn. But, so I didn't know what to do or where to go, and I felt incredibly alone, so I just gathered. I marshaled the troops, Schlitzie and Yogi, and we headed out into the magical cactus forest. We ran past the scattered houses into the great wide open, and I just kept running and running. It was hot and dark and scary, and I ran until I couldn't see anymore. And then I looked up, and then I saw all these stars twinkling above me magnificently. Were thousands and thousands and thousands of beautiful stars in the Arizona desert sky. And I thought, maybe that's where my artist colony is, somewhere up there in the wild blue yonder. And then I remembered those stars are like a bunch of light years away. My science teacher had just told me, but I didn't know how far that was. I just knew it was really far. And I was only 15, and I didn't even have a driver's license. So I went home. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't have any place else to go. And when I got home, my parents were fast asleep. I had been to the outer reaches of the universe, and they didn't even know that I was gone. So I did the only thing I could do. I grabbed some leftovers from the refrigerator, and I headed into the family room. And I sat in my mom's recliner, and I nibbled on some carrots and some hummus that she had prepared. And then after I finished, I headed back to the kitchen, and I changed the leftovers into a smaller container, and I carefully placed the carrots in just the way she did, nice and neat. And then I put a little moist paper towel, just like she had done it, to keep them fresh and crisp. And I put them back. Because you see, the apple it doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, at least when it comes to Tupperware. So I just realized that every guy I've ever dated my entire life, they're exactly alike. Exactly like my dad, exactly like my brother. They're all the same. It's like, same guy, different shirt. I'm just going through life dating outfits. There's so many times in my adult dealings with men that I reminded myself of my mother. Gee, I shouldn't have taken so long to order one night when my boyfriend Ronnie flipped a table over at an out-of-the-way restaurant, impatient with my inability to decide between the tofu tataki or the pumpkin-crusted albacore. Gee, I should have made a quicker decision. I didn't know it wasn't my fault. I was only 23. I had just moved to New York from Arizona. I hadn't even heard of therapy. But Ronnie was like, he was a weightlifter guy. He used to do a weightlifter. He was a weightlifter. Oh. You know, weightlifters, though, they're not very smart. They're cute, but the only thing they're good for is like sex or if you have to move. But he took forever to get ready. Ronnie, want to go to the Park Avenue Street Fair? I remember saying, like, all congenial one sunny Sunday afternoon. Yeah, he goes, sure, in his usual dumb guy way. But by the time he got dressed, it became this big ordeal. He had to check his pants in the mirror. Does the outside seam look crooked on the left leg? I'm like, no, because why do all the 501s fucking do that? And I was like, oh, gee, and I saw his steel eyes, you know, his eyes turned steel gray, and I'm like, hey, maybe this would be a good time for ice cream. My mom uses cold water. Perhaps a more efficient and contemporary way to handle my man would be with ice cream. So when we finally get out to the fair, and I saw that all the booths were closing, I couldn't hide my disappointment. Why'd you take so long to get ready, Ronnie? We're always late. And then out of nowhere, while I was eyeing a group of lampshades that a vendor was busily loading into his van, Ronnie started wailing on me, knocking me to the ground and calling me bitch every time he kicked me. Bitch, you messy fucking sloppy bitch. That pissed me off. I might be messy, but I'm not sloppy. And I had my hands covering my head, and I'm crouched against the Citibank building, and I'm thinking, this seems familiar. And then I noticed a gathering crowd, and then men and women in blue uniforms. The police? Why are the police here? Did somebody turn left between 4 and 7? The cops all surrounded and started pulling Ronnie off me, but he wouldn't budge. And then finally this one cop pulled his gun out, held it right at Ronnie's head, and he said, "Sir, do not hit the lady." Yeah. Not in the face. When I told my mom about the story a couple weeks later, she says, "Well, honey, you need to get better at handling your man. You know, men have worse tempers than women do, and they can't control them." And she says, "Oh, I don't like that Ronnie hit you, but I could certainly see how you could drive somebody crazy to the point, so much so that even ice cream couldn't bring him back." And then, just recently, I told my mom, I reminded her when I was back home, I reminded her about the conversation that we had years ago, and she said, "Honey, I never said that." And before I could reply, my dad started calling from the other room. So I got a glass of water and I handed it to her. And she said, "No, honey, you take it. If your dad wants something, he can get up and get it himself. Aren't you thirsty?" Yeah. 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 The evening that I phoned my dad, I think I was delirious. I was. I had just gotten back from teaching this great spinning class. I teach spinning and yoga and senior Zumba. And when I'm not doing bartending and catering on the weekends, I'm out doing my little comedy materials in the comedy clubs, working on fresh ideas. My hair was drenched from sweat and my endorphins were soaring, and when I got out of the car, the fragrance of the jasmine just caught me off guard. The colors of the flowers on my terrace were vibrant. The blooms were huge. The vines wrapped themselves around the wrought iron balcony outside of my kitchen window like delicate French lace. What an evocative still life. Beautiful, like somebody else's garden. It couldn't be mine. I wasn't capable, not of all this. It was majestic. It must have been the wafting jasmine that gave me hope. Plus, the crisp, late evening spring air. And there was, overlooking everything, a full moon. Oh yeah, and the 2 little cats that my neighbors and I feed there to greet me, the tabby and the cow-spotted tuxedo my neighbors and I all feed. I wanted to knock on everybody's door. "Excuse me, when you got home tonight, did you smell the jasmine sweet perfume? I planted it. I did it. I brought life and brilliance and aroma and fragrance to the back of this rundown concrete 16-plex in the middle of Koreatown. I felt this surging sense of community, harmony. Things were thriving. Everything was in perfect order except one thing. I had to have an adult conversation with my dad. Just once and for all. So I ran upstairs and I dialed the phone. Dad? I was hoping my mom would answer. Hello? Oh, hi, Dad. It's me. It's Jan. I know who this is. Charlene. Johnny. Jan. He's not very good at memorizing the names of his children. Well, your mother isn't here. It's okay, Dad. I called to talk to you. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen. I was just wondering. Could you help me? Help you with what? He always sounded so irritated. My life. I can't seem to get it right. I'm not able to manage things. I know how, I don't even know how to, maybe I didn't learn properly or something. Maybe I can't even balance my checkbook. I know how, I just don't like it. It's just lonely and confusing. Did you call me so you could blame me again? He blamed. What? No. I was just trying to talk to you. I just thought that I could. Well, it's just that the jasmine bloomed, and I thought that maybe you had changed. Have you been talking to that damn psychologist again? What? No, these are my own thoughts, Dad. You could have done that, you could have paid more attention to us just once. My spring-inspired fantasies sprung into the familiar nightmare of my childhood, trying to get him to give a shit. You could have splashed around the lake with us, just once, or maybe showed me how to peel an orange, or just just frolicked, or come to some place with us. You could have sat with me and taught while I played the piano. Well, nobody ever did that for me, Jan. I know they didn't, Dad, and I'm sorry. If I were your mom, I would have done all that and more. I have these uterine fibroids, and I just wanted to talk to you about it because, well, they're not cancerous, but they're tumors, and they're just getting so big. It's like I'm 4 months pregnant. So have them taken out. Like we were discussing the scraping of the mildew from the bathroom tile. Just spray some lime away and a couple razor blades, and it's done. I know, Dad, I'm going to. But shouldn't he have asked a list of concerned questions, Grabbed his laptop and started Googling. Let's see, myomectomy. What does it say? Oh, fairly simple procedure. Okay. Oh, but hold on a second, Jan. Wait. What does it say here about infertility? And I would have said, well, it's okay, Dad. I'm not going to have any kids. I never wanted to. Well, I did. I just never wanted this. And I just don't think the pattern, tradition, I just don't think it can ever be broken. I just couldn't bear to go through this with my children, the same thing I had, But instead, he replied, well, your mother and I will pay for it. His answer was businesslike, final, dryly, assuredly patriarchal. It's okay, Dad. I have health insurance. Yeah, well, this year you do, honey. He remembered. Oh, I wanted to sob, to run into his arms and rest my head on the nook of his shoulder. Oh, Daddy. The years of our shared history, nestled into the loveliness of that one tiny, sweet, splendid moment. Familiarity, family, Daddy. And then that window opened, that slippery, murky window of cruel, jagged-edged window of cruel, tantalizing hope. And like a hungry diner to carbohydrates after 10 weeks on the paleo diet, I went for it. Dad, I'm scared. I don't want to have the surgery. And I feel so terribly alone. Silence. Dad? I heard his lips crackle as they parted. Well, honey, I don't know what to tell you. And that was the truth. He never has. That was my abyss, my dangling, unresolvable, lifelong dilemma. He would not, he could not help me. Not in the way that I wanted him to. He just simply wasn't capable. And finally, that was okay. The shell game, it was over. So then, with barely a perceptible ripple of gentleness, he said, well, honey, I'll have your mother send you a check in the morning. I gotta go. I'm being honored today at the Elks for my years of service with the needy kids. And he hung up. I hung up too. And I went out to my terrace and I looked out at the poorly tended old graystone across from me. Fans blew makeshift curtains from open windows, and salsa music played from somebody's boombox, and grandmotherly looking woman stirred a pot of food, and this Latino man held his baby up and he pointed to the moon. The fragrance, the fragrance of the jasmine, it still floated in the air. And because it was there, I had this warm, overwhelming, reassuring feeling that everything would be okay, that I would be okay. Yeah, why not? And sometime before my procedure, I promised myself that I would balance my checkbook. Or I'd at least get QuickBooks, but it's just so much easier to call the bank. Oh, it's a lot of paint on. You have a lot of paint on you. So I keep coming back to my idea about the artist colony. I mean, maybe the artist colony, you know, it might be childish or immature or fantastic or silly, hopeful and fun and possible. Maybe the artist colony isn't a place per se. Maybe the artist colony is a feeling inside of a moment. You know, a smile, a laugh, a spontaneous glance. It could be in the sunset, the day that all the jasmine blooms. It could be jumping into Roosevelt Lake. It could be when you're driving up La Cienega and looking up out to the blue skies and then the hills. When it rains, after it rains, it's like a skyline of jewels. It could be an evening. This evening. It could be a million of those warm, inexplicable sensations that fill you up and make you cry and make you laugh and remind you that you're alive. This one, there he goes. This one writer friend, she described adult life like this. She said, "We work long, tedious hours at arduous labors to support moments of joy that are fleeting." And maybe it's true. Fleeting moments might be all we have, but when you're mid-fleet, those sweet, sparkling moments, they're enough. They're always here, no matter what. Nirvana, it's here. So anyway, I'm gonna go to a new restaurant by myself. I read about it in the LA Weekly, and my GPS told me how to get there. But I know a better way. You go right out here, and you make a left on Orlando.
I'm leaving to Mars. Yeah, we leaving across these undefeatable odds. It's like this, man, you can't put a price on a life. Nah, we do this for the love, so we fight and sacrifice every night. So we ain't gonna stumble and fall, never. Waiting to see us in the sign of defeat. So we gon' keep everyone moving their feet. So bring back the beat, and then everyone sings. It's not about the money, money, money.